What I'd like to do now is to close up with answering any questions you might have. Hopefully we can get some questions regarding both the business side or the election side or anything that's on your mind regarding state government. Don't have to be Secretary of State related. I'll try to answer it the best way I can.
As you were giving your talk, I found that you and I have something in common. During Jimmy Carter's campaign, he flew into Atlantic in a single-engine plane, and no one there to meet him, and he was going to give a speech up in our old pasture, the Sunnyside Park. And I said, gee, I'm in my everyday clothes out here on the farm, and all I got's a pickup. And they said, well, somebody's got to pick him. I didn't know him from nothing. And so I drove down and picked him up, and he looked out the window, and for a change, a presidential candidate knew corn from beans, and we discussed that. I was very impressed with him, and he gave his speech, and we had quite a flock of sheep, Cheviot sheep, and they were all around where he was speaking in the park. And I said, well, now, those sheep are not going to interrupt you because I fed them extra this morning. And as a result, anyway, we got on the peanut brigade and got him elected. And as a result, in his State of the Union presentation, we got an invitation to come to the White House.
You know, we were in the same building together.
That's quite a coincidence.
That is, because we were there for the State of the Union too.
Consider him a good friend.
It's interesting. What that story tells you, though, is about how important Iowa is, and how in this country, in this world, how anything, only in America, you can tell a story about a guy who was a former governor of Georgia, whether you liked him or not, or whether that party or not. It's only happened in America that you see those type of things here, and that is carried on. And really, when you look at the Iowa caucus process, and what's made Iowa so important goes back to Jimmy Carter in 1976. Let me tell you why. Because it proved that a guy with not lots of money, not lots of name recognition, could come into a state, create interest that allowed him to take it to the next level so that he could become President of the United States. And one of the things I get a chance to be Secretary of State, because believe me, all those other states out there, they want to take Iowa off the map when it comes to this presidential process. And one of the things that I tell people is that should never happen, because if Jimmy Carter would never had a chance in campaigning in California or Ohio or New York, because in Iowa you come to the small communities, the small groups. The presidential candidate would love to come to groups and have 20 or 30 people there starting off. And you get to make your message out there, and then the national media comes in and gives you that national exposure that you have so that you can take it to the next level. We've seen it even in 2008 with Mike Huckabee. Mike Huckabee is a former governor of Arkansas. Comes into our state, little name recognition outside of Arkansas, but he was allowed to campaign in a process that was able him to take on and defeat candidates with lots more money that made him a viable candidate going into the primaries and into the nomination process. That's why Iowa is so important, because it's networking and it's people on people. Now let me tell you what's happened since 1975. When you campaign in Iowa now and you do that same thing and they come in for the caucuses, the Republicans will be coming in here the next year or so. They're going to start right now coming in because they have an open seat there on that side. They're going to get national media to come with them. So in addition to coming to Iowa to campaign, when Jimmy Carter came here, he's lucky to get 2 cameras that come pick him up. Now when they come in, the local media will cover it. We now have C-SPAN and CNN and Fox and CNBC. They'll cover it. So in addition to campaigning in Iowa, where they can do it reasonably, without, reasonable, not have to have millions of dollars, they'll still pick up that national coverage. And one of the things we tell people in Iowa is, when you come to Iowa, you have to do what I'm doing. You have to talk in front of a small group. You have to answer questions. When you campaign in California, you do it on television. You buy it through the media, so you only get one side of your message. So I really think that Iowa's retail politics is so good and so important to our process here, that one that allows the ordinary people to have an opportunity to do extraordinary things that can't happen when you're doing campaign the way the big politicians would like to do it. Believe me, they like to come in and go on TV and not have to talk to anybody. But now you have to get in front of the people and you have to convey your message. That's a great story. And imagine that we were both at the same place, the same building that night.
That's right.
Small world.
Oh, in addition, as we went through the receiving line, came to greet the president, and he greeted me by name after meeting all those people, and said, "How are those sheep doing?"
Absolutely amazing at the recall, and it's interesting, and that's a great story.